This is my new Pentax SMC 50mm f1.7 lens I bought. I purchased two of these lenses, one in the 1.4mm version and one in the 1.7mm version. So we're trying out some lenses. This is a vintage Pentax SMC 50mm f1.7 lens. This effectively becomes a 100mm lens on this Panasonic GH2. I want to be a filmmaker, so I am experimenting with different tools for this camera to feel my way through and to get rid of the camera. I do not want the camera in the way of my filmmaking. I want to achieve good bokeh and overcome the limitations of the micro four thirds sensor. I believe with the correct focal length lenses, there is no problem with bokeh, which I'm going to prove now. All manual focus. I'm pulling the focus myself. So one of the experiments I'm doing in pulling focus manually. See clear bokeh. Clear bokeh with this lens. It's my hand. It becomes a 100mm f1.7. This is much better than the standard kit lens which comes with the Panasonic GH2. The lens which came with mine is a 14 to 42mm lens f3.5. I don't consider 3.5 fast at all. In fact, it's a very slow lens, and I find it restricts me indoors. Outdoors okay, indoors no good. To be a filmmaker, I've got to search, I've got to experiment. Not be afraid to experiment, continue experimentation, understanding my lens, understanding how to pull focus manually when I want it, not when it's an autofocus, but myself. I'm focused right on the screen, look at that, dead on that screen, you can see them worry. As I'm making this film here, this short film, I can really feel the limitations of this camera. It's not just the photography part of it, it's the actual sound. It sounds awful. It picks up awful sound. This is why I've invested in the Zoom H6 audio recorder, and I was invested in the Rode Stereo VideoMic Pro and also the Rode VideoMic Pro. Need tools of audio to record better audio for my films. That's what I definitely understand, that the sound on these Panasonic GH2 does not meet my standard. It actually hurts my ears to hear the sound from there, it ruins the film. The audio is definitely one of my experimentations. I truly believe as a filmmaker learning, you cannot make a good film with a camera you cannot control. Because when you actually control the camera, you get rid of the camera. It becomes you and part of the story and the project you're doing. Well, focus well at will. bokeh, there's good bokeh. This is a message for sweet programming. You can see great bokeh here, look, great bokeh. You need a manual camera to do this. If you want to be a filmmaker, you want to get one of these cameras, a DSLR or a camcorder with manual focus control. Therefore you can switch focus at will. When I was a professional photographer, I always preferred manual focus in stills photography, always manual. I used to love the Hasselblad 150mm Distagon, my portrait lens, beautiful lens. That on a 500 ELX was a beautiful camera. The 500cm with standard 80mm lens, beautiful camera. Mamiya RB67, beautiful camera. I've got this camera mounted on the tripod, the reason being these lenses have not got a IS, image stabilization, so it's essential. As a filmmaker, I've learned that this is a tripod must-have lens. Tripod must-have lens. I want to be a good filmmaker, or I'm going to succeed. In focus, look, in focus. I'm focusing, look, here, now here. Next one, pint sound. Next one, the screen. Focusing at will. Next one, the pint. Nearest point to me. Look at will. I've ordered a follow focus kit for this camera. I believe a follow focus is needed. This is just an experiment in my camera and the Pentax 50mm f1.7 prime lens. I've got a Voigtlander 17.5mm f 0.95 on order. That's for my low light conditions. f 0.95 is a phenomenal fast lens. It's just an experiment to show you the bokeh you can get with GH2. GH2 bokeh with Pentax 50mm lens f 1.7. This effectively is, as I repeat, a 100mm lens on this camera, because you've got to take into consideration the crop factor. By experimenting, I will become a filmmaker. By not being afraid, by experimenting and learning from my mistakes, I'll become a filmmaker. By being constantly at it and learning from the masters, learning from Philip Bloom, Tom Antos, and many other great filmmakers way above them, I will learn to become a filmmaker. I'll become a good filmmaker because I want to. I'm driven to. And people like Philip Bloom and Tom Antos and all the great filmmakers have inspired me. And to become a filmmaker, it doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. It can be done for cheap. Because I bought the Voigtlander lens, but I've also got this Pentax lens, which is cheap, much cheaper. Under £50 for this one. But the f1.4 is more expensive. Bye for now. That's the end of the bokeh lesson. Proof of bokeh. Zooms.